What's going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast. How is everybody feeling this week? We are jam-packed in here like sardines, as you guys can see. You can't even see the background wallpaper, the nice one that I put up, but it's all good. We jam-packed in here, man. Hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. We are here live. Let everybody know. Retweet the link. Appreciate the support. Subscribe. Like the channel, man. We got a lot to talk about this week, a lot to go over. Once again, as you guys can see, we're double dipping with the guests today, so we got a lot to talk about. So you guys tune in, tap in. Once again, retweet that link on Twitter. Let everybody know the Shop Podcast is live right now. So I appreciate you guys' love and support. So let's go ahead and just get around here to the panel. We'll start with our two special guests. Now, both of these guys have been on the show before, but they're like family. It's always awesome every single time they're on. Let's start with you, Ames, man. It's been a little bit since you've been on the show, man. The host of Season Gaming, man. Go check him out. All of the stuff is in the description below. But how are you doing? Let everybody know where they can find you and what's been going on over there.
Yeah, man. Doing well, guys. Good to be back. It has been a while since I've been on here. I know you were on our show earlier this year, but no, it's good to be back. And I'm excited. Now that we got the time right and I'm in the right place at the right time, I'm looking forward to it. Glad to be on with Luke, one of my good buddies as well. So it's going to be a fun night.
Oh, yeah, man. Once again, man, it's always awesome. Once again, go check out Season Gaming. They got a lot going on over there. Appreciate you guys' support. Once again, retweet the link. Let everybody know we live right now. Let's run up this chat, man. We have a lot of fun here, man. So let's go ahead and do it. Next person, man, this is one of my favorite. This show is like a cup of coffee every week for me. I make sure I keep track of what's going on. But shout out to the boy Luke, man. Let everybody know what's going on with you and Sipit, where they can find you at, what you've been cooking up over there on XEP, man.
Oh, man, it's great to be back on the shop. You know, I love this show. You guys are one of my regulars as well. And to be here with Ains and to see Fuzzy and Centurion and Stagger, it's good to see you guys. Thank you for having me. And XCP's rocking and rolling, man. Crossed the year anniversary last week, which was cool.
Congrats, man.
Yeah, man. Talked to Jeff Grubb a few weeks ago, which was a blast. And I'm really excited about Monday's interview because it's niche. Like, his name is Malik Prince. He's the director for the Xbox MVP program and the ambassador program, so he manages that, but we cover everything. It's an hour-long interview, which is long. We cover everything from he's a young black male rising through Xbox and coming from New York and talking about representation in games, all the way through to bumping into and embarrassing himself with Phil and Aaron and talking about everything that they do with the ambassadors. I'm looking forward to sharing that episode with you guys. It's awesome.
Awesome, man. Well, we appreciate you hanging out here. Once again, all the information is in the description below. Please go check those gentlemen out. If you're a fan of the show, do me a favor. Go check out their shows, their podcasts, everything they're doing. Once again, shout out to you two gentlemen for taking a little bit of time to hang out with us this weekend here on the Shop Podcast. Don't forget, everybody, we are live as well on Periscope, aka/Twitter. We're live there, so if you can't follow on YouTube, we're ramping things up here, man. We're trying to make the show a little bit more available, more places. Man, you may get some audio from us somewhere on Spotify at some point or something. You never know, but we're working on a lot of things here. So appreciate the support. Continue to support us, and we're going to do better things for the show. Let's go around my three compadres here. Let's start with you, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere. We don't normally start with you, but we're going to smooth things out first.
Oh, my God.
We're going to smooth it out before we get
I'm prepared.
I know, right? Backwards, Buzz. You can't even get the script ready. Probably still over there playing Forza. But your turn.
Wake him up. What are we talking about? He's like another 2 minutes of sleep.
Yeah, caught me all off guard here. Glad to be here, and glad we have a full house here and everything. I won't take up too much time, but yeah, there's so much to talk about today as far as like the topics and everything. And man, 30 more days before the X, and then 32 for the PS5. So not too far off, but man, let's get it.
Dive in, man. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion, another buddy of mine, man. Three Amigos. How you been, brother?
Oh, not bad, man. It's freaking confusing now. I haven't heard Stagger's voice yet. I don't know where I'm at.
You're always in the middle.
I know, but
you're always in the middle, though, so you're good.
I know I'm always. That's not good. No. I'm always in the middle of everything. That is pretty much how it goes down. Whether it's good or bad, I'm always in the middle of everything. So, anyways, it's Saturday night, and we've got two amazing guests and, of course, the amazing cast of the Shop Podcast. And we're here to talk about Xbox games, everything in between. Let's do this.
Let's dive in, man. Last but not least, man, we usually smooth it out at this point, but we're gonna bring in gonna bring in the rough stuff. Yeah. We're gonna bring in the rough stuff. Now, shout out to you, Stag. Last but not least, your boy Stag. How you been doing, brother?
I'm okay, man. Just grinding the gamer score, doing the streams, and watching people on Twitter be ridiculous.
That's become a full-time job at this point, man.
It is, man. Like, people are shook right now. It's crazy.
But for real, everybody, let's dive in. Let's have a phenomenal show. Once again, retweet that link. I'm seeing my phone go off as we speak, so I definitely appreciate you guys every single week here. Let's get it, man. Let's dive right the fuck into the topic. So this week, as always, well, 99% of the time, we start with the poll of the week. So once again, poll of the week, if you don't know what it is, every single Monday I put up a poll. It gets voted on throughout the week, and then we talk about it here on the show. So this week's poll of the week was, with Xbox potentially showing gameplay later this month, which game would you like to see showcased? So we'll dive into the whole gameplay later this month situation, but I threw out a couple different options as far as games. I got the Medium, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Cyberpunk 2077, Watch Dogs Legion. So Cyberpunk 2077 won 59%, the Medium 26%, Assassin's Creed Valhalla 14%, Watch Dogs Legion's last 2%. So I'm gonna start with my guest of the hour here. We're gonna start with you, Ames. Out of those four options, if they're showcasing games later on this month, which one of those four do you want to see showcased?
For me personally, I'd go with the Medium.
Good choice.
So I am a horror game lover, horror movie fan. Really, really looking forward to the Medium. I love Bloober Team. They're underrated as a developer, in my opinion. Even games like Blair Witch, smaller game, but it's just a fantastic horror experience. So I know we're getting Observer Redux as well at launch, and now Medium coming December 10th is super exciting to me. So I think we know what to expect, and we've seen enough of like Valhalla. Like, I'll be diving into Valhalla day one, along with a lot of people, I'm sure. But yeah, man, if I could see more, definitely the Medium.
Medium, okay. That's actually my choice. As I was doing the poll, Medium was the one I was looking at, because just of the dual reality, it just looks phenomenal. We don't have that kind of game. It's a game that Xbox needs. Now, we'll find out whether or not this is going to be exclusive going forward. Not that it's a big deal. It's definitely a game either way that we all want to play. So the Medium would have been my choice, just to get mine out of the way. So let's go ahead and go over to you, Luke. Which of those four options would you choose, and why, brother?
Oh man, I get why Cyberpunk won, but I would have chosen the one that got the least, which is Watch Dogs Legion. Here's why. We get that prior to Series X. We get that for this generation. And to see how a comparison between this gen and what Series X can do, or Series S can do to a game that's running on an Xbox One, and to watch that side by side, like, hey, you're playing this right now. Now we're going to show you what this would do on a next gen system. To me, that would be a very compelling argument for people to upgrade if it's truly doing what I mean. Goodness, we're seeing Digital Foundry put out how many videos of proving that this thing's a beast and a monster. Yeah, I would have loved to watch that side by side. But I mean, how do you go wrong with any of those four? All of those have their own niche aspects that are just awesome to look forward to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you can't really go wrong with any of them, to be honest with you. That's the whole point, to make it tough. So to be honest with you, all of those options are phenomenal. Now, Watch Dogs Legion probably is the one that's least on my radar, although the gameplay does look phenomenal. Definitely a game I'll probably keep my eye on as time goes by. But Watch Dogs Legion is, once again, another phenomenal game. We're going to start with you on this one, Stag. I know we usually we're getting it back to the normal order here. But Stag, out of those four options, brother, which one would you choose and why?
Do I have to pick one of those?
You don't have to. You can pick something different, brother.
Why did I close that window? I had a window open at a game I wanted to. That Blonde game. I'd rather see that, to be honest with you. I mean, going on with my indie love, and those kind of games. I would love to see that. I can't remember the full title name. Blonde something. What was it called? The one.
What game was it? What did it look like? Anybody?
Blonde or Balan or Balan.
Oh, Balon. It's
like Balan Wonderland.
Yeah, Balan Wonderland.
Yeah, that game.
Oh, that, okay.
I had a list pulled up. I must have closed the window because I had so much going on my screen.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd love to see that. No, and I also agree with Luke. Like, Watch Dogs Legions looks pretty cool, and I'd love to see what that looks like versus the next current and next. I mean, we've seen a ton out of Cyberpunk, and I mean, we know what to expect from, Assassin's Creed style games. I mean, didn't we see some footage of, like, there's going to be, like, some X-ray shit, which I think is totally cool because I love, like, Sniper Elite games where you get that bullet.
Yeah, the
and
bullets.
stuff. So that's good. And what was the first option?
Medium.
Medium. I don't care. So I mean, it's cool and I like the concept, but I don't do a lot of scary games, and my viewers know that. They love it when I do. I don't.
It's torture.
But, it's just not. It's not for me. So, but yeah, I'd love to see that indie title. So
Stag, you mentioned medium. You mentioned medium. Ains talked about it as well. Bloober Team absolutely should be scooped up by Microsoft. What a great get that would be if it could happen, because they do make incredible horror games, and Blair Witch is one to get. It was there on Game Pass day one. Yep. Medium Game Pass day one. If they're not going to scoop them up, which I mean, who knows if they are or not? I'm just throwing that out there. I'd love to see them continue building that Game Pass relationship, because I love their games, but I am not one to buy a horror title that'll keep me entertained for 4 hours and then never play again. So Game Pass is the perfect delivery system for games like Bloober's content.
They're also one of the they're another Polish developer. So you're seeing, Techland and CD Projekt Red and Bluebird, Polish development, the investment by the government there is paying off.
Oh, absolutely. They got some phenomenal studios over there. We've talked about who they should purchase, and there's been rumors about Polish studios and things like that. So we'll see how that plans out or that works out. I mean, the way this year is going as far as these acquisitions, you never know, Luke. So I would not be surprised if they've already got their eyes on it. They seem to have a good relationship already. So we'll see if this game is even going to be completely exclusive to Xbox and PC. That'll tell us a little bit more about their relationship. But ultimately, they're a phenomenal studio, and I completely agree. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion, and get your opinion out of those 4 options or other. If you had something different, which one would you choose and why, brother?
I'm only concerned about what they're going to do for next gen for Elder Scrolls Online. No, I'm playing. I want to know what microtransactions we're getting and stuff like that. No. So out of the 4 options, oh my gosh, the one I want to see the most. Would I be lying? I'm sorry, everyone, but I want to see Assassin's Creed Valhalla just because that is, I guess, one of my favorite genre areas when it comes to like historical perspective. I guess I guess it's because I'm very, very curious on just because I mean the world of there's Assassin's Creed Origins. That world was huge. Then Assassin's Creed Odyssey completely blew my mind. I mean, that world was just outrageously huge. So I've heard they scaled back Assassin's Creed's Valhalla's world a little bit. So I'm curious to see what we're going to get. And then outside of that, I would have to say the medium, because the idea of being able to move between the worlds, and from what I've seen so far, it looks good. It looks like something I definitely want to check out. My wife would probably be interested in it, and in other words, she'll probably sit right next to me as I play it.
Same here, Centurion. Same here.
When it comes to Cyberpunk, see, here's the problem: is I at least try to stay up to date on stuff. Yeah, I fall behind on other things. Cyberpunk interests me, but because I know that there's really not going to be much there for like day one assets, because from what I've read, they're going to wait until probably 2021 to give it like the full velocity architecture patch or whatever is needed to kind of push it into next gen. And from what I've kind of heard and read, they're going to hold a lot of that back until 2021. So that kind of, I definitely want to play Cyberpunk, but because they're holding some of that back, I don't know if it's really a good representation of a showpiece right now.
Okay, well that's definitely something to think about. I mean, I just want the game. I just want to play. Like at this point,
I want to play the game. I want to play the game. See, that's the thing. I know the game's going to be awesome. I've seen so much, but that's where right now Microsoft, at least, and we can say with the other guys, barely anything has been shown on these consoles on what they're capable of and what next gen looks like. And I know that when it comes to a graphical perspective, next gen is going to look very similar to this gen, other than you're going to see a lot more stuff when it comes to ray tracing and reflections and stuff like that, which are going to add to the whole value of graphics. And so because I know that Cyberpunk is actually holding some of that stuff back, that's where it's just like, well, I know what I'm getting with Cyberpunk. I really want to know what I'm going to get with these other guys. I even want to dude, I want to hurry up and play Watch Dogs 2. I've already played the first Watch Dogs. I need to play the second one because, funny enough, Legion is on my radar, and that's just because to me it's so creative and outrageous of a concept for a game. I have to see this.
Okay. All right. No. All right. Cool. So let's go ahead and move on to Fuzz. Fuzz, it's on you, brother. Let's go ahead and wrap this topic up.
I kind of had the same thought process with Centurion with this. Like, since Cyberpunk is not going to have that patch, I can wait for seeing gameplay on that, since it's not going to be the enhancements and things. Definitely. Well, I wound up voting for Valhalla, but I'm already sold on all 4 of these games. But Valhalla over Watch Dogs for me, although I'm hearing it's going to be more ray tracing involved as far as like some of the reflections and things like that, just because of the nature of how the city is set up and stuff. But all of these titles are going to be awesome. It would be great to see them as far as actual gameplay. But yeah, I picked Valhalla. I want to see dismemberment and the battles, like pretty much storming the castles and stuff like that. 60 frames, 4K. I just want to see all the goodies towards the end of this month when they do the gameplay and unveilings and stuff. But yeah, Valhalla is my choice.
All right, and those are once again, this is a tough topic. I mean, this is a tough poll because those are all awesome choices. I think we're all looking forward to all of those games.
PTK.
What's up?
Good news though, we don't have to choose. You could technically play all 4 of these games somewhat at once by taking advantage of the Xbox's Series X or Series S's the suspension, where you can suspend 4 or 5 games.
Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely. I'm definitely.
You could basically play these games all at once if you were trying to be that crazy.
I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Question about that quick resume, because somebody paid it to me on Twitter. Yeah, someone asked me on Twitter, and I have no idea the answer to this. How does that work with discs? Is it going to store your spot if you pop discs in and out? I don't use discs anymore, so I don't know. Is there
Young A tried it, and I think he said as long as the disc stays in, so as long as you don't switch discs, it'll still remember it. I don't think anybody's tried pulling the disc out, putting another one in, and then trying to quick resume that game or switching back. But if it's in a cycle with a mix of digital games and disc games, it will still remember it as long as you're within like that 4 to 8, range of games that you have suspended. It will be more games, I think, if they're like the current gen or previous gen. But yeah, for the next gen ones, I think it's going to be one of those things where 4 or 5 games, one of them being disc, you'll be good. But it's still a question mark on multiple discs.
Can I at least speak from the experience I've had, and that's going from all of a sudden playing a game on disc to watching something on 4K Blu-ray, and I would just swap the discs out of the case of the Blu-ray, and then when I was done watching the movie, I'd put the game back in, and when I put the game back in, it would on my Xbox One X, it will actually resume the game when I put the disc back in.
Nice.
Okay, so that we may see something very similar on these new systems, but that quick resume is going to be used quite a bit. So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. Great warm up. Appreciate everybody in here live. I'm seeing a lot of new people in the chat. Once again, subscribe to the channel, show your support, hit the thumbs up button on your way in. We greatly appreciate you guys hanging out with us every single week. Let's keep this thing going. So let's move on to the next topic. So the next topic, we're going to be talking a little bit about Sony here. Now, this is something that we've been throwing around on the podcast a bit, and I didn't really, buy into the idea that this was even a thing, but as time's gone by, it's kind of begs the question. So essentially the topic is, was Sony caught off guard? Now, I don't want this to be some kind of Sony bashing subject, but ultimately the things that they've done up until this point, it kind of feels very reactionary rather than, them leading, being the by far the console generation leader last generation as far as sales and generally success and brand. So the way they've been moving around, the things they've been doing are a little bit odd for somebody who was in that position to end the generation. So we're going to start with our 2 guests here. Just get your general opinion. We'll start with you, Ames. What do you think? I mean, I don't want to say off guard, but it just seems some of the things they've done have been a little odd for somebody who was in the position they were in at the end of the generation.
Yeah, there's a couple points here, I think. First, I think they definitely didn't expect Xbox to unveil the Series X originally at the Video Game Awards, right? So I think when that happened, that kind of set the tone early on that Xbox here was going to be a little more aggressive, a little more different than they've been in the past. And of course, now, many months later, when that happened, that was last year, believe it or not, right? Almost a year ago.
Yeah.
It's very obvious that Xbox is coming in this generation with a much different mindset. The other thing I think that's interesting is, you kind of touched on it, is, we've seen PlayStation 4 be an incredibly successful console, and PlayStation revenue is higher than it's ever been. So is Xbox, for that matter. But, we're used to seeing PlayStation be confident and not arrogant, I would say, but confident. They kind of slip into the arrogant side here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think absolutely that Xbox being so thorough in their planning, from reveal to advertising to feature set to console power to having dual hardware, all of the things that Xbox has done over the past several months that we've uncovered, I think it's definitely caught PlayStation a little off guard. In fact, Dan just said it in the chat right at this moment. Sony got a little too comfortable. And we saw the same thing happen when we went from the PlayStation 2 to the PlayStation 3 generation. So I think in a way, yes. And you have to applaud Xbox with their approach in that regard. And that's not to take anything away from PlayStation. The third point I would say is that some of it is perspective. So I think as consumers and gamers, we're seeing something different out of Microsoft and Xbox than we've seen traditionally in generations, in the sense of how transparent they're being.
Yes.
We have never seen a company hand over their new console 2 months prior to launch to just people around the world and say, here, do what you want with it and make videos and stream, do all these things, right? And Xbox is being so transparent and providing so much information readily that PlayStation isn't really doing a lot different than they've done in the past, right? If you go back, look, there's a few differences. Like, they haven't shown the UI yet, the teardown came a little late, et cetera, and I know we're going to touch on that. But a lot of it is perspective and feeling like Sony's not really talking too much, only because Xbox is talking so much.
Good point. That's a good point.
And so we're used to, if you actually go back and look, because I've done this, previous PlayStation launches, there's a lot of times we didn't get specific pieces of information until a week or two prior to launch. So it's not that it's too different, but to your original question, I do think that Xbox has them a little shook, for lack of a better word. It's definitely a different feel than we've seen out of Xbox for the past few years. And then just the last point is that, oh God, I just lost my train of thought as I was saying. So I'll toss it over to Luke, and maybe he'll come back to me.
All right. Well, appreciate it. So one of the things I do want to highlight out of what you said is we have to keep perspective when we're asking this question, because that's the key piece. Because once again, from a outside looking in standpoint, it may look like what Sony's doing about what they normally do. If you really go do the research, this is not that. Some of the things is not that out of the ordinary. But yeah. I think another big thing you got to highlight too, Ains, is there's no narrative this time around.
Right, exactly.
Xbox shot themselves in the foot. They had the money. There was $100. The DRM. Why can't I play? Because I live in the middle of fucking Amazon. Why can't I play video games? All these other different things that they were swimming uphill. That's not the case this time around. They jumped on that early and got it out the way. So that's a big distinction too. So let's go ahead and throw this over.
So
my bad. Go ahead.
Sorry, PTK. Let me just add one point. So I remember the other thing. The other thing to keep in mind, right, is at the end of the day, Sony does things very differently from Microsoft in this regard, and PlayStation and Xbox. And so they're, like you said, perspective. But the other thing to consider is, even if you take a step back and you say PlayStation has been less transparent, their policies are not as friendly as Xbox, all these different things you could point to, right, which are all valid. At the end of the day, PlayStation 5 still sold out.
Absolutely.
And the PlayStation, that's what they're focused on. They have a hardcore global fan base, and they will play to that audience to accomplish their goals.
All right, so let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Lou. But just get your genuine opinion on what you think. I mean, it's not so much that they were caught off guard, just maybe some of the things they've been doing. Now, obviously, you can go through the, fine tooth comb through the information and see some of these things aren't that different. But just the feeling this time around and the way Sony is just seems a bit apprehensive as far as the information goes. Maybe that's a better word. But go ahead, Luke.
We will begin this thesis in 3 parts. To answer your essential question, were they caught off guard? On the one hand, yes, but market leadership allows a grace that is not afforded or extended to anyone who's in the back seat of that. Meaning that when you have games like God of War, Horizon, Ghost, and you have Kojima in your back pocket and you can continue producing content with that, you're allowed to sit back and react versus go on the attack. That is a standard thing that we see throughout different levels of capitalism. That happens pretty regularly. But I think they were caught off guard by Microsoft's approach to this new generation, in which they took xCloud. They took xCloud to be a primary pillar point for their future strategy. They have the S and the X hardware ready to go. So they've got an entry point level $300 console, which is the perfect price point to accompany your new PS5 purchase, which will likely sell out for the entire first year it's on sale. So the Series S is perfect to do that. And you have the X for those of us who are very intensely excited to see the best of next gen in terms of hardware. And they did it at a good cost point. Then you look at their Bethesda acquisition, smart delivery, the backward compatibility program that began so long ago and is now becoming forward compatibility. Then you look at their Game Pass subscription model and Game Pass for PC. They are clearly going in on this to tackle not going after PlayStation. It's not that PlayStation was caught off guard by Microsoft coming at them. It's that Microsoft is preparing for their 3 primary competitors going forward: Stadia, Luna, and Apple. And when I say that, we're all going to chuckle because right now those offerings are pitiful, but they have the online infrastructure. They have the delivery methods to hit more screens than Sony ever has to date.
And they got the cash.
And they've got the cash. And Amazon servers are unrivaled, even better than Microsoft Azure at this point. So then below that is PlayStation and Nintendo. And I think what you're seeing is a hardware company pushing with Sony and a software company with Microsoft. And they are, as I know Dan has said on Seasoned Gaming and Bitcast, but they are taking 2 different roads to a similar destination. And you're also seeing an approach that's Japanese culture versus American culture. All of those things are accounting for the different levels of messaging that the 2 are operating with. The cool part is they're all saying good things. And that's the exciting part. That to me is the coolest part. I'm stoked for Miles. I'm stoked to play Miles. But after Miles Morales, I'm waiting for a while. I don't know what I would play on PS5.
Demon Souls, man. Come on.
Yeah. I said good games. I'm not sure.
No, hold on. Let me find my cricket sound.
But I know people are in on Demon Souls, and that's Sony rather. I'm sorry. Sony is making a great play for their fans. Yes. Microsoft is trying to expand their fans, and I think it's just different approaches to bringing us games. And that's how I tend to look at it.
No, and that's once again, like you said, 2 roads, same destination at the end of the day. There's some minute details along the path for each one that are different, that are going to make essentially their not genre, but their ecosystem different. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's a large question to ask and kind of think about all at once. It's a lot of moving parts. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Stag. Just get your genuine opinion on. We've talked about this on the show, a few different times about some of the things Sony has done, and they seem to be more reactive, but they are the market leaders. So are they afforded that ability? So where are you at on this?
I mean, yeah, we've definitely talked about this before, and I've made it clear that I feel like they were not incredibly ready for Xbox or Microsoft, how you want to put it, to be as far along or as ready and aggressive as they are. I mean, the other 2 guys, you made wonderful points, and I agree with all of that. But I think Xbox caught them off guard a little bit in the sense of, showing it when they did all these acquisitions, xCloud, Game Pass subscriptions, all the different things that are thrown into it. It's just, they've been incredibly aggressive going forward to next gen. And I mean, they kind of had to be, in most people's eyes. Now, I mean, we still want to see some of these games that, everyone's like, well, what about these these high-end games and stuff. Sure, that's great, but I've always said that like these two companies offer us two totally different gaming experiences when it comes to the graphics. I mean, it's the Xbox can handle it for sure. It's just not what they've been pushing, on their platform. I mean, take Sea of Thieves for instance. That could have been something totally different, but they decided to make it what it was and make it more fun. I've always gone back to like Xbox is for playing games that are a lot of fun, and my PlayStation is for playing that like serious, like holy shit.
Everybody's so quick to downplay Sea of Thieves, but it has actually some of the best water.
Sea of Thieves, it does have.
No, I was saying, I was just wanting to add on. You were actually saying people always seem to see Sea of Thieves as like non-graphical. It actually has some of the best water effects that we had ever seen, especially at that time.
Yeah, so I played about 4 or 5 hours of Sea of Thieves today alone, and last weekend Ains joined us for a voyage, and I was so set to show Ains the coolest of the cool in this game, and we kept getting harassed and screwing up, couldn't catch wind. I've been having the time of my life these past 6 months in Sea of Thieves, and I felt like I took him on here's this thing, look at that. It let me down so bad, but it's such a cool game. I love it.
It's a cool game.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think PlayStation was exactly 100% ready to be where they're at right now. And I mean, it still feels that way a little bit. I mean, they're, I don't know. I mean, Xbox is changing how the business and the model is, in my opinion, too. They're definitely taking a different tactic this gen. And I think Sony's definitely taking that tried and true methodology of this is how you launch a console. This is how you launch your games. This is how we present our product, and Xbox is like blazing a new path going forward in the future of what they want to do. Not giving a shit about what Sony's doing. They're more concerned, obviously, with the future than the screw ups in the past. I mean, they're definitely learning from those mistakes, but yeah, I mean, the long and short answer is yes. I think Sony was a little bit caught off guard.
Okay, no, and once again, that's a fair assessment, and it's all about the perspective that you're looking from. Ultimately, they're coming off a hugely successful generation, so
are they sell a lot of consoles?
Oh no, for sure.
I already know that. I mean, both of them are. I mean, and I think we're gonna get more Xbox styled stuff showing up in the Sony ecosystem as well. So not Xbox products. I just mean emulating that model going forward.
I'd agree with that.
You don't leave money on the table as a business. You just don't. And they see Xbox making money on PC. They're going to see the subscriptions. They're going to see the xCloud making money, and they're going to be like, that's money, So they like money. I mean, most businesses and shareholders and board of directors and people like that, I think we all like money, right? I mean,
yeah. And PlayStation, Xbox, as I said, they're more profitable than they've ever been. Yeah. So they don't have to give us the same thing. They can both be very profitable and successful and offer us unique experiences.
Wouldn't it suck if they all gave us the exact same experience?
Exactly. Yeah.
It'd be horrible.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think we all agree. That's a unanimous agreement right there. That if they gave us the same thing, cookie cutter stuff, none of us would be happy. So I do agree competition is better for us as consumers. So we're definitely going to see a bunch of great stuff going forward. So let's throw this over to you, Centurion. Get your opinion on how do you feel? Soapbox. We'll get the soapbox ready. I already got the soapbox, and you're good there.
Thanks. I am that guy.
No, just go ahead, bro. That's what your opinion.
Well, if everybody wants to know where my marketing genius would have done this, see on Jeff Keighley's show, because I think Jeff Keighley, the amazing individual that he is, not. I would have, if I was Phil Spitzer, as I was announcing the Series X in front of all the Sony people in front row, sitting there with Hideo Kojima, I would have also walked out on stage with Triple H and everybody else from WWE's D-Generation X. And at the end of that whole thing, I would have had them basically had Mr. Ass come out and give them the whole suck it routine right there on stage. And then Phil Spencer throws the mic on the floor. And that way they could definitely have that feeling of, whoa, we weren't ready for this. Sorry. Yeah. Basically, I wish they would have just handed it out a little. Microsoft is wanting to be a little bit more aggressive. Maybe I want them to be just a tad more aggressive, but have fun with it. We've seen recently Microsoft does want to be aggressive. Did anybody see the tweet from Xbox UK?
Yeah.
You know, this is how we put our console horizontal.
Yeah.
The now deleted tweet. Now deleted.
Now deleted tweet that I have a photocopy of on my Twitter. Huh?
Do you need a screwdriver?
No, you don't need a screwdriver.
Oh, no.
No, you don't need a screwdriver or a Geek Squad certificate. You don't need to go online and like watch a video and get Geek Squad certification, you know, all that other stuff. Yeah, we'll get into that later. Definitely though, I don't want to say PlayStation was caught with their pants down, blah blah blah. You know, I knew PlayStation had to knew it was coming. The one thing that I want to say that PlayStation kind of dropped the ball on, you know, to be caught with their pants down means like, oh, I didn't see it coming. PlayStation should have seen backwards compatibility coming for a long since the beginning of the generation.
Nobody wants to play old games though. Come on now.
Yeah, right. So like Phil Spencer says, and what Ghost just said, you're going to go and get that new console, play your one game, and go get your old console out of the closet and play your old games because there's not ever enough content at the beginning of any generation. Speaking of the beginning of every generation, console generations has been stuck in this cycle of rinse and repeat for the most part of it's a new generation. Generation A goes over here. We're moving on to B, on to C, on to D. Basically, there's no, you know, this whole generation thing. And then in walks Xbox with a total different perspective on how they want to do their platform. Nothing like Sony. That's what I like the way Xbox does things. That's why I have gravitated to them. And always goes deeper than gaming. You know, some people find it fascinating, like Bloodborne. Bloodborne, I heard, is a very great game, kind of like what's the other one? Oh my God,
Dark Souls.
Dark Souls. Those games totally not up my alley. I don't want a game that makes me want to go out and kick someone's ass just because I couldn't kick the one dude's ass in a video game. I have no idea. Anyways. For me, it's like Xbox, you know, how many people find it fun running around in Grounded building a fort out of grass? You know, that's why I have gravitated towards Xbox's games. Staggers even talked about that. But now Xbox is kind of changing the game because of their innovations in not only console hardware, but also in the way they do things because they're doing it completely differently. We now have stuff like Game Pass, and Sony's constantly being compared to that. What I believe Sony was not prepared for was for Xbox was to create a change. Sony is, you know, we all know that part of the world over there. It's seeped in tradition. And Sony has had the tradition of the rinse and repeat console generations. And now for the first time, they're being put into a situation where they can't just hit the reset button and move on because their competition is actually being quite successful not doing that. And that's where, you know, I've already listened to a couple people on the internet, and I'm really in agreement. I really feel that Sony is going to fumble the ball when it comes to backwards compatibility.
They can fumble many things and still be just fine given their first party slate. And that's that grace that I was talking about being extended. I mean, look at what Nintendo, how much have they botched consumer friendly ideas, and they still
that's where
because everybody's going to be playing FIFA. So I mean,
that's where we're already seeing like some of the things. I don't want to say the cracks in the armor, but we're just seeing how, you know, Sony has been maybe in a little bit of a rush on the design of the PS5. We're already seeing situations where Spider-Man only runs at 60 frames a second with ray tracing turned off. And when you turn ray tracing on and the 4K resolution, it drops down to 30 frames a second. So, you know, there's already people saying, are we already seeing the limitations of the PS5 console in the first game?
I doubt that. We're gonna get. I highly doubt that. I think we're going to be able to push these consoles to the limit. We're not even going to see games that are gonna really that are made specifically for this hardware, not for another year and a half or so. So we'll see how far that goes. But before we get crazy here, let's go ahead and get over the fuzz.
I'm not trying to get crazy or like I'm happy. I got
I wouldn't say
I got a PS5 on pre-order. I'm looking forward to playing it. It's just I really don't know how to feel about either console right now.
Oh, that's not that drastic of an opinion. There's a lot of people sitting in that same boat right now that are not buying in day one to either one. So don't feel like you're the only one in that boat. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Fuzz. Just get your opinion and wrap this topic up, man. Where you at, man?
Do I feel that PlayStation was caught off guard? Maybe a little bit. I think they underestimated how aggressive Microsoft was going to go at this generation launch. Everybody's had a lot of good points as far as, it is perspective, and it is, the fact that Microsoft is being so transparent. They are very vocal as far as, announcing features, announcing, upcoming events and different games and things like that. So this isn't the traditional Microsoft that we saw this current gen. It's a whole new animal. On the same side of the coin, you're looking at PlayStation. It's all new management. And it's not that, I miss Sean Layden or anything along those lines, but there are some things that feel different. Like with PlayStation being, a Japanese-based company, they kind of did something that I don't know how even though the Japanese market is a much smaller market, obviously, compared to like the US market or Europe, but they went and changed the button configuration after years and years or generations of consoles. They've kind of flipped things to say, oh, you know what? You're going to be like the rest of the world. You're not as special as you once were, which I don't know how that's going to rub, their hometown or their but it just feels like, not that PlayStation isn't ready, it just feels like there's some, growing pains with new management. Jim Ryan is not new to the game. He's the one that kind of championed their growth or their market share increase in Europe. But I don't think necessarily all of his ideas, although I'm pretty sure he has somebody above him kind of, directing him on many things, but some of them just seem a little off, whether it's the mixed messaging or things along those lines. And I don't know if all of that's going to quite fit as far as for a global market setup. But in the grand scheme of things, definitely looking forward to both of them. But I think Xbox learned from their mistakes. They licked their wounds from 2013. It is no longer 2013, nor should that argument of, oh, they fumbled out of the gate, that we can put that to bed. Much like we can put, Xbox has no games. They pretty much have more studios than some companies have games. But we'll see how that all pans out over the generation. But I do think Sony underestimated, what Microsoft was going to go or do this time. So they don't have any ammunition that, Microsoft dropped the ball. Oh, let's kick it down the field type of thing. They don't have that anymore. So I think that's kind of what hurts.
Underestimated. That's a better word. Underestimated.
Yeah.
Okay. No, and once again, that's a feasible option too, because I don't think so. Let's be honest. That whole situation, what happened with the VGAs when they showed the console, I don't think any of us knew that they were that far along. I mean, maybe some people did, but a lot of us got caught off guard with them showing that console that early. So I think that hit everybody with a left hook. Nobody really saw it coming. So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. Shout out to everybody watching us live, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Seeing a bunch of new names. Once again, I appreciate every single one of you guys. Subscribe to the channel, like the videos. It helps the videos be seen. Retweet the link on Twitter. Let everybody know we live right now, man. Tell your friends about us every single Saturday here, man. So let's move on. So we already talked about Series X gameplay being shown later this month, but I wanted to go back and tap back in with that particular topic, go a little bit deeper on that. Now, we've already gone over some of the games that we would like to see. So I wanted to dive in on just what do we want out of the gameplay? Because some people say we want our faces melted. Do we want to see variety? Do we want to see what Xbox has been showing us? So that is in the eye of the beholder, essentially. But we'll start with you, Ames, on this one. Well, just get your idea on. Aaron Greenberg did come out and say there's going to be some gameplay shown later on this month. So what are you looking forward to?
Yeah, really two things. It's probably not too dissimilar from anyone else, but I want to see a side-by-side comparison with some analyzation, not to the level of like Digital Foundry, right? But someone with developers pointing out things, say use Valhalla as an example, where they say, okay, here's Valhalla on the 1, the 1X, and then Series X or something like that, just to say, here's what we're able to do with this new hardware. Here's where you're going to see it. Here's what you're going to hear differently, things of that nature. So I think you have the opportunity to do that due to the relationship with Ubisoft and the marketing rights they have around Watch Dogs Legion. We've heard that Legion is getting the ray tracing patch on day 1 for launch. So I would love to see, what Watch Dogs Legion looks like on the 1X next to the Series X, and to have Clint Hawking get on there, the game's director, and say, here's what we're able to do on the Series X. Here's what you're going to see. Just to point it out, because one of the hardest things, and you guys know this, but one of the hardest things to demonstrate with these new consoles is the difference in visual quality and fidelity in a live broadcast. It's just not conducive to it. You can't do it. It's even when you go back and you watch kind of the 4K native, 60 FPS streams from Xbox and PlayStation for next gen. They not only look way better than the broadcast, right, that are broadcast in 1080p, but they're still not the same as to when you're going to have it in your house on your TV running locally. And so it would be nice just to have some of these developers with some big games like a Valhalla to say, here's the difference you're going to see, here, X, Y, Z. The second thing I think Xbox has a lot of games in the chamber, a lot. There's a lot we haven't seen from other studios under the Xbox Game Studios banner, a lot of new IPs in the works. I would like to see at least another 1 or 2 first-party titles come out in this show as a glimpse, maybe not launch window titles, right? But as a glimpse of here's some of the future things we've got coming for the series lineup, someone like, I've mentioned it before, but someone like Compulsion Games, they're working on a new IP. We haven't heard about it. We haven't heard from Compulsion Games at all in about a year and a half. Anything like that, even a glimpse of what initiative, give us that Perfect Dark, just even if it's 5 seconds, just get that hype going so that people know what they're investing in the series ecosystem, to say, yeah, we see that you've got the third-party games and the improvements there, and we know what the drive speed will do. We know the loading times, quick resume. We know all that, right? Let's see the enhancements we're getting, how this is going to compare to what we have today. But let's also, like they did with Avowed, like they did with Fable, right? Just give us that glimpse, continue to give us glimpses of what's coming from your new gigantic first party.
Man, good luck following that up, Luke. Your turn, brother. I think everything's been said, but no, Luke. So yeah, great point, Angel. You hit the nail on the fucking head, bro. Right out the park. So there's a lot of different things, and like you said, it's just about perspective. Because some people will, they'll get a ton of variety, and they'll say the show was not good.
Always, man. Always.
And they'll say, oh, well, that wasn't good enough either. So obviously, that's going to vary depending on the type of gamer you are and what you're looking forward to. Because they could go out there and show 10 next-gen exclusives, and you still be like, oh, that was trash. I don't want to play none of that shit that's up there. So, once again, we're looking from the perspective of just individual here. So, let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Luke. Just what's your opinion? As far as we talked about some of the games we'd like to see, but just to piggyback off what Ain said.
I don't know. Again, the problem is that when you want to showcase next gen, a lot of it doesn't transfer well via stream. And then not just talking about visuals. We're talking about AI, machine learning, things like that. The feel of things is just going to be different 3 years from now than it is now. Whereas traditionally, I would say we've been playing the same games for about 5, 6, 7 years at this point. So I'm not sure how you show that. But when you see gameplay, I think they need to show us, as Ains correctly said, in my opinion, you need to have 1S, 1X, Series S, Series X, and PC comparisons to all this stuff in some way, shape, or form, just to showcase gameplay. And be like, hey, and this is running on a Series S. This one is running on a Series X, that kind of thing. And then tease some things for the future. Right now, there's no real launch lineup in the traditional sense. You have the Falconeer, I believe. is launching day and date. You've got some things that have been available on PC, like Gears Tactics, which is coming out. Microsoft Flight Simulator will be in that first 6 months. But I want to see what is happening down the road. Show me Hellblade 2 again. Show me what's different about Hellblade 2 from the Game Awards to now. Just a tease is great, but Sony mastered building hope with their fans and getting people to buy a console 3, 4, 5 years before that game that they were looking forward to was coming out. Give us some elements of that going on there. And just if you want to really show your prowess, show that same part of Halo Infinite, that gameplay demo where he goes up the elevator with no pop-in. Just no pop-in. And just be like, hey, what's up, guys? But something like that to give people a look towards the future.
So it's funny you say that, Luke, because think of Sony's last show, right? The PS5 showcase.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Dan and I talked about this prior, but I said they're probably going to tease Ragnarok, God of War. We didn't know it was Ragnarok, but got the next God of War. And they won't show anything. They'll just show that it's coming.
Right.
Yeah.
And people will go nuts. That's exactly what happened.
Yep.
They showed a logo. They showed a voice clip, or they didn't show. They played a voice clip. And people went nuts. It was all over social media, sites, everything within hours.
That's a proven tactic, though, because God of War was so good. Same thing with
Exactly.
Prime 4 when that splash screen went up, and now we find out they've not even started. It's like, oh,
right.
But I mean, if you see a logo that says Crimson Skies and you're done, you're like, oh, I'm in. I want moments like that to build for future. Because I don't see new games happening in this first 6 months to a year. I feel like we know a lot of that slate for the AAA stuff, for the AA and single A stuff, the sub teams that are working within each of the now 25 studios. I would imagine those hit at a cadence, and we get those in inside Xbox showcases whenever those happen.
Yeah,
Battletoads size stuff. But yeah, I want hope for the future. Hellblade 2, Halo Infinite, stuff that we know. And that is better. That's what I would like to look forward to.
Okay. All right. Good breakdown. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you. We're actually going to start with Centurion on this one, bro. As far as where the show later on this month, and just what we're going to see out of these new games. What are you looking forward to? What are you expecting, Centurion?
Wow. What could I say that hasn't already been said?
You need to fire us and just let them be on the show.
I know, right?
I think that's the point, though, right? We are all in the same camp of what we want to see.
Yeah.
There's two things. We need to see the improvements, and we need to see new stuff. It's not that difficult, right?
Yeah, I think we're gonna be.
Show's over. Have a good night, everybody.
Please close the damn show out, people.
Now, are we wanting to see the improvements just to see them, or are we wanting to see them for validation?
That's a good question.
Some people want validation.
When you say improvements, do you mean like to Halo Infinite? Can you?
Now, are you wanting to see the improvements of what was possible just because of it being on this console, or are you wanting to see improvements to feel validated in your purchase?
Oh, okay. So one thing Microsoft has not done a good job of at the moment is telling you why you must get a Series X right now. In fact, they've told you verbatim, you don't need it right now. And to be clear, I think that's the right choice for the way that they are approaching their cadence of delivery via Game Pass. I mean, they are trying to get out one heavy hitter per quarter and smaller hitters throughout the year. That's what they're trying to take us towards. And they don't want to lose I don't remember what the number is, 50 million plus currently active engaged users, or is it 100 million? Honest to goodness, it runs away from me.
They broke 100. You're talking about monthly active users?
Monthly active users, yes.
They broke 100 million. Yeah.
So they don't want to lose it or disrupt that flow of 100 million active users. They're trying to give people more screens to get in on their content. So I think that's the right thing to do to have that 1 to 2 year layover before having fully exclusive games. But what that does is it means that their comparisons will not look favorable when you put them next to Miles Morales and you have that remastered Spider-Man, and you can say, hey, PS4 Spider-Man, PS5 Spider-Man, and they just don't look quite the same. They won't have the same feel to the common gamer, to those that are not on shows like this, who are not looking at Digital Foundry. I mean, I saw what that Series X did to Assassin's Creed Unity. Are you kidding me right now? That might make me play Avengers again if I can do more playing than loading.
All right, don't get crazy.
No, sorry, guys. I didn't mean to say anything.
That's where I think a lot of people are going to see a massive improvement in the quality of gaming in general is the loading screens and the worlds and the techniques that would be that are becoming possible because of these loading screens. That's where, you know, in these comparisons, people are now going to have to also show, like, not only are you not getting, you know, this in all the graphics, but also show the loading screens that somebody has to go through on an OG Xbox and Xbox One X. I mean, sorry, an OG Xbox One, then the Xbox One X, then the Series X. That way you can actually show people like what you're actually also paying for. A lot of people don't really understand exactly the quality of life improvement you have from getting rid of loading screens. I know this has nothing to do with gaming, but whenever I convert a video for 4K on YouTube, it generally takes about the computer in around 10 to 15 minutes. That's just letting the computer sitting there with the loading screen while it renders. So, you know, and the funny part is, I beforehand was using a computer where that process took an hour. So I paid a good amount of money to get that loading screen to go from an hour to 15 minutes.
Okay. No, then once again, the quality of life improvements are big. That's definitely going to be something that people are definitely gonna feel. You know, like you said. So not everybody's gonna see that right away, and Xbox being able to highlight and showcase that in the right way, and I think that's the big point.
I just really hope. Yeah, it's back onto the showcase. I just really hope Microsoft definitely, I guess, hits it out of the park for the most part. They show enough to get people excited for what's coming for the first month or two. There's already some pretty good titles coming out. The Medium was just announced for December 10th. I've looked at some of the games that are getting ready to come out, and I'm looking forward to some of the stuff. It might not be AAA, all of it, but I'm looking forward to it. But for people like Ghost and Porsche here, and even a little bit for myself, I really do hope they show us a little bit more of what the future, I guess, kind of has in store for us. And I don't know if they're going to do that, though, because Microsoft might just want to get us hyped for the end of this year.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll definitely see. So, Stag, it's on you, brother. So where you at, man, as far as games being shown later on this month?
Yes, Dag. Tell us something new that we've not said already 4 times.
I know, right?
My brain shut off when you said Crimson Skies. So.
Me too. I was about to say, don't get my hopes up. Come on.
God, dude, I loved that game on the 360. That was one of the dude.
And then he went totally
multiplayer was so much fun, dude. Like, it was ridiculous. God, can they just, man? I'm like memories over here right now, but man, I like everyone else. I want to see games, you know, and I just want to see games. Every time both companies do anything, I just want to see games. And man, I'm not one of those people that's just like, oh my god, did you see how good that looked? I could give a fuck. How does it play? You know what I mean? How does it play? What's the story? And am I gonna get engrossed in the game? So I mean, like, I've said it before, one of my favorite games of last year, actually my game of the year last year, was Children of Morta. And we can all agree that isn't like the best looking game in the world because it's really not an indie game. You know, it's not meant to look amazing, but it played amazing. It had a great story, and I got totally engrossed. So that's what I want. I want games. I want to see games that are going to engross me.
Okay, and once again, we know Stag, but he plays everything. Yeah, he plays everything.
I'm currently playing Word Sudoku, so I mean,
he plays everything. Everything. So we know he's legitimate when he says he does not give a fuck about graphics. So for sure.
I do care about graphics. I mean, enjoy graphics, but that's not my driving force.
Exactly. I misspoke.
No, it's cool. I had to put you correct.
Well, I think Centurion said it too, right? It's like one of the points you mentioned is like they're not all AAA experiences. And I'm very, very okay with that. It doesn't. Every game doesn't have to be this gigantic $300 million blockbuster, right? Like you have your Cyberpunks, you have your games like that, Valhalla, what have you. But I love games like The Medium is going to be a AA game, and I'm going to love the hell out of it. Cuphead, indie. I love indie games too. Like I think Game Pass is the perfect delivery mechanism for a wide variety of games. And I think that's one of those distinct advantages from first party that Xbox has right now, to Saturian's point.
Wasn't there, and I'm thinking about next gen offerings and Bethesda, wasn't there a story perhaps a week ago at this point where we were going to see collections of Series X and PS5 ready versions of a lot of Bethesda titles, but no longer would those be coming to PS5?
Yes. So the
Doom, was there a Doom one, or
it's a collection of Wolfenstein. So it's Wolfenstein games, and then it's the collection of Arcane, which is Dishonored 1, 2, Death of the Outsider, and then Prey. So they came out for Xbox One and PS4 this week, I believe it was, and they announced that they're coming for next gen as Xbox Series Enhanced, but they're only listed for Xbox Series consoles, not PS5.
Yeah,
interesting. So, that might be the first fruits being born from that. Out there.
And that's another thing too. People aren't, obviously we've talked about that deal in great length the last 2 weeks, but that's so big and it's going to stretch and cover so many bases that we're not even. It's going to affect everything we've touched on today. Is going to be affected by that deal. Don't forget about.
Can I add on to what Portia said?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, he said that Microsoft has an advantage in their first-party studios now, but there's a major advantage, and not only in the first party, but backwards compatibility. I'm going to keep championing it purely because name one other console generation where a console launched that had access to hundreds of games day one.
Yeah, no, that's huge. Like I said,
so that like you could integrate this in. Huh?
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, I was joking. I was thinking of Sega Channel. That was it. Old thing. I'm sorry.
Well, because I understand.
Man, that Soulja Boy system had a lot of titles at launch.
Soulja Boy, what?
Oh my god!
But I mean, like Microsoft is. I feel like got some big advantages coming into next gen, and sadly, as we go along and as things go along. Me and Fuzzy have even chatted about it. The next 6 months are going to be interesting, and I think we're going to see some really big growth in the Xbox community because I think some eyes are going to be opened and the narrative is going to be changed just a little bit.
Well, we'll definitely see. It's already starting to shift a little bit, but as things happen and news happens, we'll definitely keep an eye on that. So, last but not least, Mr. Smooth Voice. Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, man, let's wrap up this topic, bro. So where you at as far as things being shown later on this month, games being shown later on?
Well, after seeing the NBA 2K21 next gen trailer, I really would like to see, and I know they don't have the marketing rights. I would really like to see how that plays on, like, let's say a 1S versus the Series X and Series S. I think if they can, without it being like some sort of marketing deal infringement thing, if they could show what those games look like on those three consoles, don't worry about what it looks like on the PS5, but just at least show that comparison. So the potential customer that only has a 1S or a 1X or something along those lines will see how much more, like even just the Series S will do for that game. If it looks anything like the trailer on the Series S, and you have even more detail on the Series X, or it's a smoother frame or native 4K or something like that, then I think that games like that will help, solidify, hey, this is why you should upgrade. I know everybody's kind of mentioned that. They haven't really showed a good reason of why to upgrade. I mean, most of us that are enthusiasts are going to upgrade regardless, but for those that are on the fence or the casual gamer that might stroll into GameStop, now with the whole, Microsoft deal and everything, what is, I guess, the driving factor? I'm hoping they'll have, samples to show at the GameStop or other stores that they'll eventually partner with and stuff. But I just want to see something like that on that later gameplay. Same thing with Valhalla. Show what it looks like on the 1S, show what it looks like on the 1X, and then show it what it looks like on both the Series S and Series X, as far as like the particle effects, the lighting, ambient occlusion, the whole nine. Show all of those comparisons. I know it's hard to do on a uploaded video, and we'll have to wait for like the 4K upload unless they just do it as a pre-recorded thing and it's, you know, already in 4K instead of doing like a live stream at 1080p or whatever. But all of the current games that are going to be available at launch, like Yakuza, like a Dragon, like have something like that showing, and then just show how it looks marketably better compared to the current gen console. And I think they have a win at that point. That's what people have been asking for some time. And as long as they deliver, like Dirt 5, Yakuza, Valhalla, if they can do Watch Dogs, because like we were saying earlier, it has, the ray tracing. We know ray tracing is going to be a big feature in that game. Show all of that. And then if there's options as far as turning ray tracing off for like 120 frames or 60 frames or whatever the difference may be, then show those options. So that way somebody knows, hey, the ray tracing isn't as big of a deal for me. I just want it to be buttery smooth 60 frames or possibly 120 frames. Show where that benefit is. Although, once again, in video, it might be a little bit tricky, but at least talk about those options. Talk about the distinct feature changes between, this generation versus next. And I think they'll be golden.
Okay. So, I mean, essentially, we just want to see it's time for showing now. I think that's where we're all at. It's time for showing. It's time to show people, where these games are at, where we're going, give people a clear distinction between performance, the way these games look. Obviously, the games are going to be fun. That's all subjective to the individual, but I think it's just time for showing. And I think we're all at that point. I don't know if we've ever been this close to launch and still had so many questions about consoles. The consoles we're going to be buying fairly soon. But let's go ahead and move on to the last topic. So the last thing we're going to be talking about is the Ps5 Teardown. I say this is the last on purpose. So let's go ahead and get started with you, Ains. Just that happened earlier this week, so we just want to get your overall opinion. I know there was a lot of back and forth once they dropped the video, people talking about the size of the PS5 and the various other things, but there were some cool features as well. I just wanted to get your overall impression of, what'd you think of the teardown, man? What do you think about the hardware and, what they were able to accomplish?
And before Ains goes,
yeah.
Ains, please don't take all the good points.
At least I don't have any points, so I'm not.
Well, I think the first thing that probably surprised us all right after the teardown video was that there are a lot of hardware engineers on Twitter. I didn't realize there were that many people that work.
Lots of project managers.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple things again. We were talking about culture earlier and how PlayStation, being a Japanese company, approaches communication and everything, right? Even the Japanese YouTubers we saw earlier this week, we wouldn't see that type of presentation here in the US. It's just very different.
You think if I blew that hard into a controller, I'd get more subscribers?
Go find out.
But I think it was very kind of typical. It was a blank white room, single engineer, tools laid out, probably 1.4 inches separated between them perfectly. You know what I mean? It was very methodical. So it just touches on the approach there. But I thought a couple things about the system itself. One, right away, and I've been talking about this for a while because Dan and I talked about this too, is like, well, what's the significance of the split motherboard on the Series X? And what, even at a high level, I have a lot of technical expertise, obviously not to the level of these engineers. But I said it is significant, right? Because that allows the motherboard to be obviously shorter and more compact. And when they took the motherboard out of the PS5, you could immediately see it looked a lot more similar to a PC motherboard, which speaks to why the PS5 is taller and narrow, whereas the Series X, it allows it to be a lot more compact. The other thing I like is that they showed where the expansion slot is, right?
Yeah, they finally got that out the way.
Yeah, so I think that's great. There are some drives starting to appear that have the read-write speeds that you'll be able to put in there. They're pricey as hell, as you would imagine, but at least we know it's pretty quick to get in there and add that, so that's good. The other thing I found really interesting, two things, is one, their heat sink is, if you know anything about like sink design, right? It's massive. And I would love to hear more from actual engineers on the PlayStation side. Not that we ever will, but I would love to understand a little better why they went with the heat pipe design versus the vapor chamber. Was it just the way the layout is of the console? Why did they have to do that? Because they had to oversize it to basically get the efficiency of a vapor chamber design. Whereas, you know, like I said, on the Xbox Series X, it uses more of a cube shape and it allows it to be to cooler at a smaller size. And lastly, I think using liquid metal is very interesting under the sock. That speaks to them overclocking that chip. You know, it's the AMD Oberon chip, and it's overclocked, which is obviously going to drive up heat. And when you drive up heat, you got to get, obviously, you know, a little more crazy with your cooling solution. So liquid metal's been used in some custom builds past few years, but it can be really finicky. So according to Sony, you know, they've obviously tested this very, very extensively, but I am very curious to see as the years go on, right? As this console, we move into PlayStation 6 and whatever, as PS5s are hooked up years and years from now, are they going to start to see any issues in that regard? I'm kind of curious.
So, can I add? I'm not trying to be the guy that always has something to say, but one thing I read about that liquid metal, and it made me actually consider, because I also have talked to David Preen in the past about some of the stuff he went into when it came to shipping the Elite controller units. Like he even talked about, he's like the little foam block that's in there. That was never in the original design. It was something that was added after that because it was damaging the controllers, so he had to fix it. And I'm worried about what's going to happen in situations with this liquid metal when the PlayStations themselves aren't handled correctly or handled a little bit. Let's just say they're, you know, like during shipping, you have a case of PlayStations that's actually put down on the dock a little harder than it should have. And there's been some instances where they're saying that that's where the liquid metal could actually crack open out of the casing and get onto the board.
Ah, okay.
I'm not the biggest tech guy, but we'll let you guys are way better.
No, for me, well, for me, I'm not the biggest tech guy, but in my industry, there's a lot of shipping, and I have to take into account stuff like that. And yeah, the liquid metal is actually inside a capsule, and that if you rupture the capsule, the liquid metal will spill out, and it's metal, it's conductive, it will short the board out pretty quickly.
And
wow. Okay.
We all got to worry about Terminators.
Actually, I'm more worried about, remember the Xbox 360 from the first Transformers movie? You're going to wake up with that thing like basically trying to get you with like a broken disc.
So I think the point is the hardware in consoles is becoming much more advanced, right? And so we're seeing bigger consoles, they're generating more heat, there's more extensive cooling solutions, and we grew up, all of us, with consoles that were plug and play. They would work. I can plug in my Genesis and it'll still work like the first day I bought it, right? And I just think that some of these things that we're getting in with how advanced they are, it's going to affect longevity in different ways. And I'm just curious to see how that plays out. That's all.
Okay, so it's on you, Luke. So I know you already put it in the chat, Luke. You know.
That teardown that was a big console.
It's a big console, isn't it?
That's a huge. I'm not going to say it.
It's a big.
Are they compensating?
Are they compensating?
Take some nuts off the back end or something? I mean, jeez.
Hey, the panels, Luke. I didn't touch on the panels. There you go. Go for it.
Oh yeah, those panels can be. I mean, those were white. They were white, and they can be removed, and they're gonna sell those things separately for sure. I don't know. It's a big console. I don't liquid cooling motherboards, whatever.
Dude, no, you want to talk about the panel? Did you see when he was taking one of them on? How much flex he got out of it?
Yeah,
I mean, he practically curled the corner. I was like, "What the?"
So I will tell you this: that system to me, the PS5 design, is really cool looking. too big. I'm very excited for when we get the slim versions, but this thing, to my very amateur mind, I mean, Ains knows way more than I do. From the outside looking in, it looks over-engineered, and in a way, it reminds me of the Saturn. It feels like it's rushed when I hear people say that, but I don't know jack about anything, and I would never proclaim to. And if somebody's working for Sony's engineering team, they know what they're doing. You know, you can't tell me Mark Cerny, one of the most brilliant human beings on the planet, doesn't know what he's doing. Cool. Like that. I thought it was neat seeing the breakdown. I'm so ready for the slim version of that thing already.
That seems to be bothering you. That definitely seems to be bothering you.
He's emailing Sony right now.
Carry the box. He's like, I'm going to need help out.
He's emailing Sony right now. Can you hold my pre-order until you come out with the slim version?
If I could have gotten a pre-order, I would have. But man, yeah, that's a sore spot for me. Miles Morales it's gonna have to wait. I'm gonna wait. I'm not playing Miles on my PS4. What am I? A peasant? Ew. I turned my thumb up at that. No,
what kind of show is this? I didn't know I had to have my pinky up.
I have both of them up right now. Now teardowns are awesome. Like they're great. They're really cool. Xbox certainly gets a lot of use out of their teardown GIF, the exploded view of the Series X. But I mean, cool. Like it's awesome. It's a little late, but at the same time, like whatever. We're all gonna buy it and play our games, and it's gonna be a blast. Also, it's big. Did you guys notice that? It's a really big.
I think we caught that.
I think I missed that. Can you?
Yeah. All right. So no, let's throw this over to you, Stag, man. Just get your opinion. I mean, like I said, I'm not the most technically savvy guy. So I mean, when I watch those videos, I watch for other reasons besides, all the little small things that some of the other tech savvy people may notice. So for me, let me just get my shit out the way. It was big. Let's get that out the way. It is a pretty large console. Ultimately, I don't have a ton of. I mean, I do hope the covers that come off are able to be customized. I can see a lot of people trying to do some custom things with that. I think it'll be really neat. Hopefully, Sony, takes that and says, hey, let's actually make this a thing and allow people to customize their consoles a la Xbox does with controllers. I think that'd be cool. I don't know how they would, figure that out, but I think it would be cool. But other than that, like Luke said, I mean, it's a console. As long as the thing works and doesn't melt, everything should be fine. So, Stag, it's on you, brother.
What are we talking about?
It's big. It's big.
It's, man, baby. But, man, I don't give a shit about all that stuff. I just want to play video games, like legit. Like I watch it. I have no interest in anybody's teardowns, like all those companies, all the technical shit. Like I don't care. I don't care at all. That's not my bag. I'm not even gonna proclaim to know what I'm talking about when it comes to that stuff because I don't pay attention to it. Man, people are like, what are your specs on your PC? And I'm like, hold on, let me go grab the piece of paper. I built a really good PC and I have no fucking clue what's in it besides my graphics card. Like, that's the only thing I know because I can read it from here. I don't care. I got them both on pre-order. I'm ready to go. That's it.
All right. Well, let's throw this. No, we gonna get into Centurion and we're gonna wrap this thing up with Fuzz. But yeah, Centurion, it's on you, bro. I mean, I don't know if you watched the teardown or not, but
I do have one thing. Like,
let Stag go.
Hold on, those panels, the side thingies, you can take them off, right? You guys are all I keep reading on the Twitters, like people are like, oh, custom fucking panels. Do we all not recall how like huge 360 faceplates were? Like, come on.
Oh no, absolutely.
Like, it's just a gimmick, and it's not going to last, even if it does become a thing. So
you're right, Stagger. Except in the cases where Bloodborne 2 gets one, and where you get one from Miles. Like Ains said it on Bitcast. Like Ains, tell them what you said on Bitcast.
For a while,
I don't remember
faceplates, and then it just dis-a-fucking-peared. Like there was.
So what I was saying today, and this is speculation. They haven't said anything about this to be clear, but Dan had asked if they start selling themed or licensed, I guess is the better word, custom panels, right? Why would they do that when they can sell custom consoles? And the point I made to Dan is that the profit margin on the panels will be way, way higher than a custom console.
And you can display those. You can just put them on your wall.
Correct. Yeah, so you could sell your PS5 in base format forever now, or until the Slim, whenever that maybe comes out. But if they can create Demon Souls or Miles Morales, to your point, people will buy those panels for $50, $60, $70 that'll cost a couple of dollars to make.
And I actually could second when he's talking about it, dude. I mean, that's a effing genius idea.
Sony better hire me or something if they're not doing it already.
Well, we all saw the fake PS5 for Spider-Man Miles Morales, and that thing looked beautiful.
Great. Yeah, so that's the point, right? And think about it. They can sell those, like Luke just said. People will buy those just to have them, and you can swap them out. You can display them. You can put different, like think Miles Morales, where you have Miles on one side and Peter Parker on the other. You can do all kinds of stuff, right? So, and people will buy those, and the profit margin is huge.
And we could have the PS5 design labs,
360 faceplates. So, I mean,
I agree, but I think
it bears out. Honestly, I think you're right, and I don't think I'm wrong. So,
so we're at a dilemma. No, but no.
It could be a mix of two, like where it is really popular for a while, and then people kind of get like, and there's only a certain sect of people that want to buy them, and then Sony doesn't see the upside anymore.
So Stagger, you don't see the PS5 design lab being a real big thing going on, designing your custom side plates for your PS5 like we do with Xbox controllers?
Why would they do that?
Oh my God, that went over like a lead balloon. Moving on.
It's on you. It's on you,
bro. Just
go play.
Okay? Oh yeah, no, I'm already killing the mood. Jeez. I'm aggravating Stagger. Also confusing him by my bad humor.
Hard to confuse me though. Come on now.
No, my bad humor is just that bad. So, anyways, freaking.
Hey, I will say too much was made of the whole putting it vertical and horizontal. People were making too much of a big deal of that.
Dude,
it's not a big deal.
I honestly don't understand why they had screwdrivers need to be involved. I don't it's not that huge of a deal. I just I found it to be very curious.
My question is, does it come with the screwdriver or is it just there?
It's gonna be a plastic cheap screwdriver.
Well,
but anyway, get to your point.
My point was, I don't know. It was interesting to see that, I'm sorry, me being OCD. I like the fact that in the stand, they actually give you a spot to actually put the attachment hardware that is required to put it in either mode inside. So you never have to I'm sorry, but yes, I do have certain stash areas around the house where it's oh, this small little piece, I can't lose this. So at least PlayStation gives you a spot to put that. So they put some thought into that. But when it comes to the whole console, I did actually watch the breakdown. I had to watch it in silence though, because I didn't understand anything, regretfully. At least they kind of highlighted the points on screen to kind of show you what components did what. When he pulled that heat sink out, oh my freaking God. I thought he was going to start mowing people down with some futuristic kind of weapon we've never seen seen before. That was a huge heat sink. Portia was saying. I didn't really though see anything that's going to deter me from not wanting the console. It's good to see though that they did give it proper ventilation. There is at least a good decent sized fan in it. From what we heard, the consoles at least were running cool in a controlled environment. That's one thing I definitely have to point out is at least every time we have seen a PS5 right now, it's not really in the wild. It's in these controlled environments where people are brought in. It's almost scripted in a way, at least being around the PS5, where we're seeing a little bit more realism when it comes to the Series X and the units they've put out. But definitely, it's good to see that Sony is actually wanting to show the breakdown of the console finally. I really can't say anything past that. It's just really someone taking apart a console, something I'm really not allowed to do. I will be absolutely 100% honest. I had to reach out to Fuzzy and say, hey, were the 4 holes in the front of it, is that where the SSD went? I'm just wanting to double check here that I'm just wanting to clarify that we're over here screaming about the hole in the back of a Series X and how it's turning into memory cards. and apparently you have to somehow watch a PlayStation certification video and be a licensed IT guy to be able to expand the memory in a PlayStation.
It didn't look that difficult.
It doesn't look that, but that's the other thing. To everybody here, it doesn't look that difficult. But I'm sorry if I sat that console in front of probably every person that I work with and told them to put that chip in there, they would probably come and find me after a while.
They might, but I mean, we'll get into that a little bit. But we're gonna let Fuzz wrap.
See, that's where I just. Do you think that whole situation with the SSD is for the average consumer? And I don't think it is. At least I just want to put that out there.
The expansion slot?
You're talking about the expansion,
the expansion. I don't think that expansion is for your average consumer, and that's what I feel like. That's going to be one of the things that's really going to set the tone for. I feel like PlayStation is going to get a lot of the hardcore fans, and you're going to have all these casual gamers that are going to look at that. And I'm sorry if you think that looking at the differences between a Series S and a Series X are confusing, then freaking putting that card in is going to be freaking rocket engineering.
Go ahead, Fuzz, it's on you, brother.
Well, I watched the teardown, and one of the key things that was a takeaway was like the expansion slot. And I agree with Centurion on it. It's not going to be for the average gamer. The casual gamer, though, is probably only going to have 1 or 2 games. They're going to have Madden or Call of Duty. Hopefully that 600 gigabytes that's left on the built-in hard drive will be enough for Call of Duty. But I outside of the size of the thing, man, I mean, unless that guy is like extremely tiny, man, that I don't know, that thing is just. I don't know. I got to find a cabinet to hide it behind or something, because that thing just looks like its own little cabinet or something. I mean, it's like an Alienware PC, like the early days type of thing. But yeah, the expansion slot, it was cool to see that finally. I mean, it would have been nice if they made a separate announcement specifically for that. But, we kind of get things in drips here and drips there. But man, everybody was like all up in arms about the pricing on the expansion slot on the Xbox, and it's like, oh yeah, the prices are the same, like a lot of people were saying for that. I mean, unless you want to only get 512 gigabytes, but everybody was like, oh, the Series S, it's like, oh, the expansion card is almost as much as the thing. Well, if you want 2 terabytes in your PS5, guess what? It's almost the same price as your PS5. Yeah. Outside of that, the stand, I get why a lot of people were making a big to-do about it. But for me, I mean, it's not going to have the stand, to my understanding. It's probably not going to have the stand installed on it when it's in the box. And when I take it out of the box, I'm going to instantly put it on its side. I'm not going to be I'm team horizontal on that. I'm not going to be team vertical because I don't like the look of it. But that's nor here nor there. But I just wish we had seen, the teardown a little bit sooner. But, it is what it is. We finally got to see it. Looking forward to getting one on pre-order, which I still don't have a pre-order because mixed messaging or, hey, surprise tactics. Here we go. It's up for pre-order. But other than that, man, the November 10th and 12th can't get here fast enough.
Yeah, I think it's right around the corner, and I just think we're all super excited for everything that's coming. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and wrap the show up, man. It's a lot of people in here, and I greatly appreciate every single person who came out, supported the show, man. We had an amazing show, amazing guests this week. I mean, I hope you guys all enjoyed it. Leave me feedback in the comment section, people. After the video is over, go to the comments. Let me know what you guys thought about the topics, the video. I appreciate I answer every single one of them when I do get them. So thank you guys. You guys are fucking amazing. So let's just go around the panel. We'll start with our guests. Once again, we'll start with you, Ames. I want to say I appreciate you hanging out here, brother. It's been a little bit of time. We ran a little bit longer than normal. We're a little bit outside of tradition, but it's all good. We had some extra bodies here. We had a lot of fun today. But let everybody know what's going on with you, where they can find you at, Season Gaming, man. Tell everybody in the chat what's happening.
Yeah, guys, just appreciate it, PTK and all you guys, man. It's a fun show, good cast, appreciate it. So, just Porsche Power everywhere, seasongaming.com. You can find everything there. We keep it simple. So we've got, it's been a great year for us. We've got several new contributors writing articles, a lot of meaningful articles you can find on Season Gaming, unique things. And us, we don't deal in the bullshit. So It's not clickbait stuff. It's actually written from heart and with passion for gaming. So check that out. I'd appreciate it. And then, we do the big cast every Saturday as well. We're just in the early day, so well, how about, for your Saturdays, come stop by the big cast and come stop by the shop, make it a day.
Yeah, let's do it, man. And I appreciate you, man, for the plug there. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on the show. You're always welcome to come on. Once again, everybody, his information, Season Gaming information is all down in the description. Do me a favor, go check him out. Show some support. Get some merch there. So Season Gaming got some awesome merch too. I've seen some T-shirts on Twitter, man. You guys got some designs over here.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I didn't think about it. Right now, actually, till Monday morning, there's a huge sale going on, $10 shirts. And if you didn't know, every day of the week, like all the time, we donate 50% of all the revenue to Able Gamers and Special Effect. And then right now, with this $10 shirt thing that's going on, we're donating 100%. So all the profit goes to the gaming charities, and we do that all the time. So.
Awesome. So go support that, man. Just awesome people doing awesome things, amazing gamers. Once again, Ains, it's a privilege to hang out with you, brother, and have you on here, have you as my buddy, man. So a shout out to you, man. People, go show him some love and support. So next, Luke, man, one of my favorite teachers. Shout out to you, Luke, hanging out with us, man. Once again, XEP, doing big things, getting a lot of big interviews. Man, it's funny because even just the short amount of time that I met you in, XEP's grown so much so fast, bro. So I just want to say thank you for just always being available and taking time to hang out here on Saturday with us.
Well, thank you for having me, man. XEP is my pride and joy, and it being a year old is pretty cool. But I do it, and I show up because I love talking about video games, and I love celebrating video games. And so to be here with you guys is an absolute pleasure. And if anybody in the chat is willing, go check out the Xbox expansion pass on any of your podcast services, from iTunes to Spotify, even Pandora, which always makes me laugh. But yeah, I mean, I'm two iTunes reviews away from 50, which is cool. Awesome. I'm just happy to get to celebrate games. And you can find me on Twitter as well, @InsipidGhost. It just means the world when you guys check that stuff out. So thank you.
Yeah, once again, you keep doing what you're doing, bro. I got to make a public service of this man right here. It keeps me entertained. This is one of the very few podcasts that I look forward to watching, but listening to every week when I get some free time, man. So keep doing what you're doing. You're fucking amazing. You and Ains, you guys are both awesome. So I'm glad that I know you guys, and you guys have been able to interact and be on the show. So guys, keep doing what you're doing. Once again, everybody here who supports this show, go support these two gentlemen as well and everything they're doing. Do me a big favor, all right? So we're gonna go ahead and go around with our three compadres here. We're gonna start with you, Stag. What's cooking up with the stream? Let everybody know what's going on with you this week.
Not much. Just, grinding for that million gamer score. And
oh, that's right. How close are you?
Under 105K to go.
Nice, man. The last home stretch.
Close. Yeah. I mean, long ways to go. Picked up a couple aftermarket PS4 controllers to review. I'll have those up relatively soon. I don't know. But I got that going on, and man, just streaming new releases and trying to find new games to play as always, and loving the indies and paladins and grinding gamer score, and here every Saturday. Well, when I show up. So,
so yeah, you guys go check Stag out as well. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I wanted to say, Ains and Luke, thanks for the quality information. Ains, you were like, dude, amazing. You're freaking spot on with everything. It was pretty awesome to listen to you today. So.
Oh, thanks, man.
Cool. That's all.
Thank you, man. And I said it was big.
Yeah, he actually. That's all we're gonna. I should have just named it. I renamed it.
That was great.
The title of the podcast just a big. Whoever wasn't here is not gonna get the title at all.
That's the hardest I've laughed today, Luke. God damn it!
You too. Luke said it was big.
Please, Jesus, post production. Anyway, go ahead. So let's go ahead now. I appreciate you, Stag, man. Every week you're here, brother. Appreciate you so much. Always comedy relief, man. Hanging out with you on the show. You're always a big contributor here, man. So I thank you so much for taking time out as well. Teardown, let us know what's going on with you, man. What you got cooking up?
Well, first off, thank you once again, Blam, for letting me part of this show. It's an amazing experience. For all those who haven't, you need to like and subscribe to this gentleman. He's an awesome dude. Same with the guests and the other amazing gentlemen on this podcast. If you can, be sure to like and subscribe them all. For those interested, though, in finding me, you can find me at Centurion1307 on Twitter, YouTube, and Xbox Live. I also kick it here every Saturday night with these fine gentlemen on the Shop Podcast. And you can also find me over on TXR every Sunday night as well.
Awesome. And once again, man, we appreciate you here as well every single week, man. Know you're a big contributor to the show. Thanks, Centurion, for hanging out. And last, Mr. Smooth Voice, Fuzzy Belvedere. What's going on with you, man?
Well, I want to thank Ains and Luke. You guys definitely hit on all cylinders as far as all the topics today. And man, it was great having you guys on. Always love being on the show here with you guys, with Stag, Centurion, and you, Blam. It's always great talking, our one of my favorite hobbies as far as gaming. But man, awesome show. You can find me on Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere. You can find me on PSN, Fuzzy_Belvedere, Xbox Live, Fuzzy Space Belvedere, YouTube, and I believe Instagram or Fuzzy Belvedere all together. But man, awesome show, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome, man. And Stag, appreciate you every single week as well, man. Thank you so much. And last but not least, PTK Blam, you guys know where to hit me at. You know where I'm at, the host of the podcast, man. Every single week, the Shop Podcast. You guys are amazing. Follow me on Twitter if you guys want to know what's going on with the show. Once again, my DMs are always open. I love feedback. Post show, let me know anything I can improve on, anything we can change, topics, poll of the week, all that good stuff, as well as hit me up or add me on Xbox Live as well if you guys want to play some video games. Hit me up there. But we're out of here. Hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Same time, same place next weekend, man.